Hi, and welcome to episode 6 of Cartography. And this is the set of episodes that accompany our Esri MOOC on cartography, where we're enthusing you to think a little bit about maps and how to become a smarter map maker. And joining me this week for our final episode, so it's John Nelson again.
Hey
John.
Thanks for having me.
No, welcome back.
Happy to be here, pleasure.
And Nathan Shepherd.
Thank you,
also
Ken.
joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, John. I really like that shirt. You should wear that more often.
Thank you. I like it too.
It really does. The eyes, everything.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about mapping time, temporal geography, think about movement and change and how we can create map products that display that information. So we're going to be talking about time series data and how we can make maps using temporal information. So we dealt with the Z dimension, I guess, in the last episode, and now we can deal with the T dimension, you know, things that change over time. And that's, I guess, increasingly becoming really important data. So how we look at things over time, how we measure things over time.
Yeah, and there's lots of different ways of doing it too. It's like there's 2D ways and there's 3D ways and there's ways with animation.
Wait, there's 3D ways?
Of course.
3D?
There's always a way to do it in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah, animation, static, lots of ways to apply symbology to show temporal change.
Okay, so let's think about how data might change over time. So conventionally, you know, you've got a place and you take a snapshot. You might survey it or maybe take an aerial photo or Landsat imagery or whatever it might be. And then at some future point, you do it again. So how do we map that? How do we map the change between?
Change detection.
Yeah.
So what I would do, I would take those two layers of imagery and then run them through a change detection algorithm. And it would look at all the pixels and give me a variable output saying this has changed a lot and it's changed in this direction or this direction.
Sounds complicated.
It does
doesn't
sound.
So
But there's an
easy,
algorithm, so
because it's all this.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing that again. So that's kind of for raster imagery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about thematic data in polygons?
Can't be done.
Can't be done.
But you can do it by processing the data. So you might have, let's say, population density for 1 year, and then maybe there's a census taken 10 years down the road, and you've got another set of data. And of course, you can do some, it's pretty simple maths.
That's the interesting
the
stuff.
rate of change between areas over time.
Change maps are a lot of fun.
But it ends up creating one map, right? So you don't have your starting point map and your ending point map. You're actually processing the data in order to create some information about what changed in between these points of time.
And that could be a choropleth map encoded with a rate, in this case, the difference between A and B.
Yeah.
So a change map, which is static. But it could be something else, right? I mean, you've got a static visualization of that, but you could also have a version that morphed in front of your eyes and tweened from point A to point B.
Oh,
Like moved.
Moved, like a moving map.
Yeah.
Yes.
Biology, actually what you're reading is kind of a difference in shape over time. You would expect maybe the shape to be growing or the trend to be decreasing. You know, if it's linear, let's say we could do small multiples of graphs on a map, you know, you can see over time trends. And I guess that's what you're really trying to pick out if you're looking at change over time, is what are the trends? How has something changed in state?
Yeah, well, I think consistency across each of them is really important. So like if you're using a color scale for one of your elements, you need to make sure you're using the same minimum and maximum for all of the maps, because you're going to be using that across all of them.
And the same view extent and the same scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So isolate the variables, so
Yep.
that the only variable that's being changed is the variable that
You want to
the
talk
topic
about.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting things in a sequence then and making a map movie, I think is a really great way of showing something in a very encapsulated form.
Yeah, and then the flow of time becomes really important. So if you're making a video of time changing, you need to keep the time flowing at the same rate. You can't have it going at different rates. And maybe you want to add some little on-screen text saying the year or the month that's going on with it. So as you go through, people can not only see it, but they kind of get in this little, out of the corner of their eye, to see, oh, 1988, 89, 90. Yeah.
So Ken, you had mentioned earlier this aspect of temporal mapping and resolution. Resolution and the fineness of the picture that you're showing somebody has a lot to do with how well they can interpret it. So people's eyes aren't very good at detecting change if it's happening slowly. There's not a lot going on. But that same amount of change, if compressed into only a few frames, let's say instead of every year, you show every decade, boom, 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 boom. We're very good at seeing abrupt shifts and noticing, oh, it's increasing, oh, it's decreasing, it's moving over here, it's moving over there. Whereas if it's too fine and too slow, then you miss it.
We haven't talked about space-time cubes yet.
No,
Space-time
cubes. They're like a special case of dealing with spatio-temporal data.
Are they 2D or 3D, Ken?
Oh.
They're TD.
They're TD. Well, I mean, you know, you're dealing with 3 dimensions again. You're dealing with the X and the Y because there's a spatial component. But things have changed in time. Whatever is being mapped has changed in time. So instead of perhaps illustrating a height or elevation on the, I'm going to say it again, the Z-axis.
I thought he was going to say height.
Oh, no, he wants to live.
For that.
We can turn it into a T. Can we agree on T?
Yes.
Or do you want to call
Absolutely.
it T?
No, T.
So T can be on the vertical axis. And if you imagine, let's say, moving through space or walking through a city, and you've got a day on the T-axis, then you might begin over here, and then you move, and then you move again. And the lines are going to move at different orientations depending on your speed, your velocity, and they might be vertical when you're fixed at a particular location. I mean, this is kind of nothing new. This was done in the 1960s. But, you know, we're starting to be able to operationalize this in an interactive 3D environment and create some really interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
3D space-time cubes.
Space-time cubes.
Z
Plus,
is
it
T.
sounds amazing. Space-time cube.
It does. Very futuristic.
Check
Yeah.
out my space-time cube.
So maybe when somebody asks you, what are you doing? You say, I'm a cartographer. Now you're a space-time cube scientist.
Cubist? Space-time cubist?
That's a different thing.
Yeah. Sounds arty.
Sounds very arty, but yeah, I like space-time cubes. They're kind of cool. So I've just spoken a little bit about lines, I guess. What about areas in space-time cubes?
Temporal analysis, you want to understand what's going on at each slice. So let's go with some water usage data that we've messed around with this before. So you've got an area, and you've got a large area, and within that you've done some analysis about how much water is being used in each area. And if you imagine each one of those extruded up as a block and stack them up through time, you've got a space-time cube that actually looks like a cube. Very nice. But the problem is you can only see the outside of the cube. So as soon as you're doing space-time cubes or areas where things are going to be hidden, you have to think about other ways to get inside the cube. So do you slice through it in time? Again, you have to animate your space-time cube so each one turns on in time. Or do you kind of like filter out where you're just left with the worst, you know, the people who use the most water. But they shrink down and you just get left with the worst areas of water usage, and maybe there's a column. And what that says is this is one area where there's high water usage for a long time through time. And if there's just a little one, you go, oh, what happened this year? Maybe there's one year where everybody used more water for some reason. So you can understand things by putting it into a space-time cube and just look at it visually.
That kind of works.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's kind of taking cartography beyond 3D and beyond time now.
Beyond
Everything.
time.
What about that?
We're
Wow.
4D. Yeah.
This week's map is another great historical piece of work. Actually, it's maybe not even a map. This is a famous illustration by E.J. Mary from 1885 on graphing the movement of trains from Paris to Lyon.
Yeah,
Nathan, you particularly like this, don't you?
I love it. It's kind of semi-obscure. You kind of Google it, you don't find that much information about it. But it's just amazing. It's one of these maps that you look at, like a good joke, you look at it, and if you get it, you feel smarter. It's one of those kind of maps.
That's what I was going to say.
No, I don't believe you.
Actually, when you proposed this map, it was the first time that I actually took a good look at this map.
Yeah.
Because initially I look at the map and I'm like, okay, I don't get it, I'm moving on. But when I actually found myself having to understand it a bit, it was fascinating because you've got this amazing display of geographic proximity and time proximity in the other dimension. And you've got these lines connecting rail stations. And if it's steep, then it's fast train.
Exactly.
Right? And there's these little gaps where, you know, the train will start in a station and end in a station, and then there's this long pause. It's not a nice, consistent stroke throughout. And it took me a moment to figure out what that was.
Right.
And that's just how long the train is waiting at the station before it takes off to another station.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like a map, but it is. It's got space, it's got time, and it's got a lot of information.
Yeah, it's a travel map. It's like if I want to go to this town and then come back, but I need to spend 2 hours there, you look at it, I go up, here I go, one direction, a couple of hours, here's the next one, comes back, and you can look exactly where you're going to be. And in fact, if you look where they cross, so there's trains coming in one direction and trains going the other direction, where they cross, that's when you can wave hello to that train going the opposite direction.
So the graph or the map can be read from top down or bottom up, because actually the trains from the other direction are also plotted.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
but
it's great.
It's the same kind of dimensional cleverness as the Maynard piece that we talked about in a previous week.
This week I'd like to propose a guy who works back in the UK. His name's James Cheshire. Dr. James Cheshire. He works at University College London. He's a senior lecturer in all things geo. And, he's a pretty cool guy.
Prolific.
Well, the interesting thing that James has done recently is published popular books on cartography. And if cartography is all about, enthusing, engaging the public, then let's make books for the general public. So 2 books. First one, London, the Information Capital. And the second one is called Where the Animals Go. These are the 2 sort of products that he's most known for.
And I like his approach in taking a very specific idea and then making many, many maps on that idea, instead of maps with a lot of themes and a lot of topics. He'll pick a topic and just map the heck out of it.
Yeah, so his first book with his co-author Oliver Uberti just took a lot of information about London, just obscure stuff, and showed a slice of time. The second book, Where the Animals Go, is pretty much all about time. He's taken animal tracking data and mapped it. Where does an albatross go around around Antarctica, or where does a particular lion or a tiger go? What's their habitat? And it's fascinating. I encourage you to go and check out James Cheshire's work. Fascinating, interesting work.
I will go check it out too. Sounds great.
I'll lend you the books.
Thanks very much.
But let's see what's in this little crate of cartographic curiosities.
Ooh.
Yes. What's possibly in here that we can deal with animation? It's a book.
It's a cute book.
How can a book be animated?
Yeah, there we go. It's ridiculous.
Oh, you can put me in charge of the flip?
Wow.
So this is a flip book. This is a flip book. And let's see if we can capture this.
Whoa.
Here we go. Good frame rate. So each one of those is actually an individual little image of a horse. And then as it goes through, it's changed slightly through each one. And so now you get the perception of movement. It's like a movie. It's the modern day movie.
So this is like a collection of small multiples, but organised as a stack instead of as a flat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you flip through them and you get to see it.
Did you guys ever make these when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
In school with the notepad and just
Absolutely.
the little guy runs or something?
Yeah.
I did a pole vaulter once, springing over.
A pole vaulter. Hey, guys, there's more. There's more in here.
There's more?
There's more in here. So allied to the flip book is, and there's debate about who invented what first, but this is also the sort of mid-19th century. What is this?
It's an ashtray you might find at a bowling alley.
Actually, it probably is. It moves. It spins.
It does. You need to look at it in just the right angle. It's basically the same thing. What's it called?
It's a zoetrope.
Oh, amazing.
Zoetrope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like a kid's toy version of it, but this was a device that also allowed you to animate. And actually, the key to it is a sequence of small images.
So it's the same thing as this, really. They're just stitched together.
But instead of stacked, these
into a loop.
These are in a sequence, maybe like a film strip. Mm-hmm. And as you spin the zoetrope, then these little slivers act as frames, and your eyes can't keep up with the movement of the sort of slices, but they give you a little slice of the image at a different point. And that creates the illusion of movement. I guess really this is all about, you know, how do we generate this illusion of movement using stills? And that's a lot of what we've been talking about. So these aren't really cartographic tools of the trade. They're just almost the
cartographic concepts of the trade.
Forerunner to how we animate things.
Well, if each one of these pictures was a change in population through time, then it would be.
Yeah. We're going to end it by thinking about a few of our pet peeves and carto fails surrounding animation.
I'll go first.
Go on.
So for me, it's like animation, you've got to look after the viewer. They're gentle people. Their eyes are going to hurt if you fly them too fast down a corridor. Things going past them, if you jerk the camera around, you show things on and off too quick, people are going to fall over. You can't do that. You've got to be gentle, take your time, tell a story, have a point, but make a nice little video that people want to watch. Think about it like you're trying to get into Hollywood. Take your time.
Yeah, and I guess it's still about the map, right? It's not about you as the director of your map. It's really just not about that. It's about keeping that individual sense of the importance of the product. Do you have any pet peeves about animation?
My biggest pet peeve of an animation is a herky-jerky animation. It goes too quickly.
But what I'd like to do maybe is wrap it with a sort of a single overarching pet peeve. Right? Something that encompasses a lot of what we've spoken about across these 6 different weeks, these 6 different episodes. And that's that we're trying to encourage people to think and put a lot of time and effort into the map. And I tend to see a lot of maps where actually you know that it's pretty much default, and it's pouring your data in and expecting software to do all of the jobs of the cartographer for you, and you either hit print or you hit publish to web map or whatever it might be, or export to an animation.
Right.
You know, the software gives us a tremendous amount of flexibility and support and freedom, and everything's got to have defaults, right? You know, you can't just give people a blank nothing and expect them to go and do everything.
Yeah.
But I would like, you know, my pet peeve is people who treat the defaults as the endpoint.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. It's like it should be on purpose. Whatever you do, do it on purpose. Yeah. If you like the blue that comes up by default, make that decision. I like that blue, I'm going to keep it. Just make your decisions. It's your map.
Yeah, every aspect of the map ought to have a decision behind it. I choose that this is there. I'm presenting this.
Well, I think that every map ultimately is made by a human, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Every map is made by a human, so that human has to make decisions and put a little piece of them in the map.
Yeah.
Make your map a little bit different from everybody else's map, and it's going to stand out a little bit more. Personally, I try to make my maps a little bit more like John Nelson's, because everyone makes his maps.
Yeah, I don't make maps.
So that's my overarching, I guess it's not really a pet peeve, it's just a sort of a bit of encouragement to try to go a little further with your cartography.
Making maps is fun. It should be fun. You should enjoy it. It's fun.
It's fun.
Well, making scenes is fun, but maps is all right. Okay too. But it should be fun.
I'm going to try some more 3D and animated maps now.
Excellent.
Okay. So we've come to the end of episode 6 of our small mini-series of cartographic discussion points. And I'd just like to end by thanking my colleagues. John, who's joined us for all 6 episodes with exactly the same shirt. Nathan, thanks for your help with the 3D and for the animation.
I brought a couple of shirts.
And for the guys that aren't here, Edie and Wes, who also joined us to share their knowledge and expertise. But it's a good job they're not here. Because there's only 3 biscuits remaining. And I'd like to offer you guys final biscuits. What?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Thanks so much. I was a little bit hungry earlier. I apologise.
I'd like the Garibaldi.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Garibaldi biscuit is great. So thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy your mapping.
Thank you.